I think the truth is that, and you and I learned this a long time ago, but maybe for any young folks out there who are getting into the business, don't be fooled. Meaning you are not entering the business of creative.
Hmm.
You are to a
Yeah,
degree, but we're salespeople at the end of the day.
absolutely.
An
Absolutely.
idea is only as good as the person who can go in and assertively communicate and thereby sell that idea through.
All right, we're back, Rob. Episode 153.
153.
We're back.
153. We're back.
Um, yeah, exciting times, right?
That's right.
It's always a
It
little
is exciting
awkward.
times. We're in the throes of the holiday season, I would say.
We are. There's a lot going on. It's good to stop and take a quick break, do a little podcast, but there is, it's the most wonderful time of the year where you're pulled in 8 million different directions,
Yep.
and there's a lot to do before you can take some time off. So there's certainly a lot of the hey, and it's very fortunate to be busy, of course, but hey, we got to jam it out so we can all take a nice
Yeah.
leisurely holiday break,
Yeah, it's
So,
weird. It's that weird time between Thanksgiving and Christmas where it's some clients just go dark.
yeah,
And then others go,
we
"Oh,
need it
no.
all.
No, no, no. We need it all, and we need it,"
Yeah.
what day
Yeah.
how many days are you guys taking off again? Like,
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. We need all these things at the beginning of the year and we haven't started yet. And there's the
Yeah.
holiday oh.
Oh, no.
Yeah, yeah. But
Oh,
hey,
no.
this is the industry we picked, we love it, we hate it,
That's
just
right.
like other people. I assume other people in other careers, have the same feelings, love, and I don't know. So I always think we're the lucky ones that get to, use our brains and be creative all day. So
Yeah,
it's beats an Excel spreadsheet,
that's right.
So anyway, I think today's topic, I had a weird little interesting experience about a week or two ago, or maybe longer, about something I didn't really realize was advertising, but could kind of be advertising.
Hmm.
Okay, which is a weird little tangent, if you will, right? Which we'll call it the power of persuasion, which is I think what advertising is in general, right? I mean, it is the power of persuasion. Sometimes it's about convincing somebody that they need something, whether they need something or not, right? You know what I mean? Or just touting the benefits of something as to like, hey, this will improve your life, or this will improve your this, or your posture, or your stress, or your vitamins, or I mean, it's an improvement aspect of life, right? So, yeah, it's a weird one, but I went to a town meeting. Like call it, we all live in random little parts of the world. We have little HOAs, we have town meetings, we've got big meetings, little meetings, small meetings, right? And a lot of times in your little local area, right, you got to get together, you got to vote on things. I mean,
Yeah,
earlier the last couple of weeks you've been sharing some stories with me about what's going on with your little corner of the world, right?
amazing. That could be its own a whole separate
That
podcast.
sounds like an audiobook is what needs
It
to
sounds
happen
like the
over there.
development of a true
So
crime podcast.
yeah,
It
I
is.
mean, neighbors be crazy, right? And sometimes you don't get to pick who your neighbors are. Sometimes you
No.
do, but sometimes you don't, right? So anyway, we had so hey, went to the little town meeting to take a look at what's on the agenda and all stuff like that. And I like to educate myself on what the topics are, what we're going to be voting on, just so I'm a little bit more educated going in, not flying blind, right? And I think a lot of times you kind of have your mind made up on what you're going to vote on or potentially have in your thought. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm gonna yes on this issue, no, you know what I mean? Like, how does it affect you? For whatever various reasons, right? And I was a hardcore, a no or yes. I can't even remember what it was on this. I think it was a hardcore no. It was a hardcore no on this one topic, right? And hey, we opened the floor up for discussion amongst neighbors, and there was a guy that got up and gave such an impassioned perspective on the issue,
Okay.
right? From his perspective, right? I'm trying to be sensitive to make sure we're not really sharing
I
but
was about to say, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. We have to share the issue.
it
Everyone's going to want to know what the issue is.
it was about additional dwelling units on your property,
Yeah,
right?
nothing
So
controversial.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
controversial.
Well, the concept is, it creates. I'm not, I just said I'm educated, but like I don't wanna get into I'm an expert on population density and this and that and
Sure.
townships and things and whatnot, right? But, yeah, if you bought a piece of land, you have a house on it. I mean, there are rules about how much you can build and setbacks and all the different things. Everybody's used to that type of stuff, right? Um, well, the concept of building an additional dwelling unit, an ADU, on your property up to a certain square footage, right? But then being able to use that for rental
Okay.
income,
So
right?
short-term rentals, we're talking about short-term rental
Yeah,
issue. Do we like
exactly.
them or do we not like them? Is really
Yeah,
what we're
so
that's
so
yeah.
it that's where it bleeds into a much larger conversation, right? But, hey, imagine your neighborhood, and I'm kind of grossly simplifying this, but imagine your neighborhood of everything and then having not twice the population, but if every lot or every house has another house on there, right?
Yeah,
Boom. Theoretically, you have twice the traffic, twice the
sure.
people, twice the impact. You know what I mean? It's not going to happen like that, right? But over time, it's like, hey, well, do we want twice the amount of people in here, right? And as we are talking about it from a national level, I mean, housing prices, like things,
Yeah.
it's a national conversation, right? Um, so I was a little I'm just gonna be honest and say, "Hey, I was like a no. I don't want extra like no, no, no. No, no,
Yeah.
let's not be able to build all these extra
Right.
scenarios, right?" And yeah, guy came in, very impassioned plea about um the community, and rentals and things like that. And it's not always about VRBOs and people partying on the weekend or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be, right? And I was like, you know what? I do. I totally I can totally understand and respect that position, his position, which completely flipped my vote from a no to a yes.
Okay, what I
So
need to know more about what was his position? I mean, I get his position was, "Yes, we should welcome this," but what was how did he back up his position? What was the
he backed up the position by basically taking I'm gonna put words in his mouth, and again, nobody
Sure.
even knows what this
Yeah.
is. So I don't wanna speak for the guy by any stretch, but it was about there was a lot of affordability of where to live, right?
Okay.
And then, you know, um the infrastructure of what makes things so special as to where you live, in your little corner
Yeah.
of the world,
Sure.
right? And I experienced this, being from San Francisco and things like that, right? Where property values so far exceed, that I don't want to say like ordinary salaries, right? But you end
Affordable
up with,
house?
yeah, you end up with this scenario
Totally.
where
Yeah.
no one can afford to live anywhere, right? So that your general baseline infrastructure of what makes a place special, right?
Yeah.
If everyone has to drive an hour to come, they're not going to do that type of thing, right?
Yeah.
And it was a good, valid point on it's not necessarily about population density and doubling the traffic and doubling the thing, or,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
having Airbnbs and things like that. It's about keeping what makes where you live special, um, along those lines, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, I totally get it. I totally get it. As someone who grew up here and loved this place and things like that. And it wasn't even like, anyway, I don't need to go into that, but it was just an impassioned plea, right? And so I thought to myself, like, the power of persuasion, it totally worked on me. And I am like as thick-skinned, like, hardened, crusted, like, you're not changing my mind. I mean, I'm making myself seem like I'm very, very grumpy, but it was like it was just a good like, I walked out of there, I was like, "Huh, interesting." The power of persuasion, even on a grizzled advertising veteran such as myself, you know, um, when you do clearly articulate um, a different perspective, right? It can absolutely have impact, I guess,
Yeah.
which is kind of what I thought about would be interesting for the topic. So anyway, I've been babbling here for like 10 minutes straight, it
Okay.
feels like.
I have questions and thoughts. I'll start
Let
with a
me
question.
let me turn it over, yeah.
How did the vote go?
The vote went his way.
Hey, okay. So not only
Mhm.
did he persuade you, but
Yeah, and
perhaps
I
he
would
he
say
he brought the whole room with him.
he brought the whole room with him, and I would say it was because of him. I would take a flyer and say I think a predominant amount of people would have voted, the no, you
Right.
know, but him there, it was mostly him. There were a couple other people, but it
Sure.
was mostly this one very specifically well articulated
Yeah.
passion plea that yeah, it totally and it was convincing. It wasn't like I mean it was quick, like
Yeah,
I mean
yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
really did it. So
Well, is he looking for work?
No,
That's my
but I do
follow-up.
know where he works
That's
because
my follow-up.
he told everybody where he works, so,
Well, all right. So
um,
I had a couple of thoughts. It was funny when you brought the topic up right before we started, and I was reading an article this morning, believe it or not,
okay.
specifically about communication styles.
Oh, interesting.
Um, yeah, and it was
Okay.
talking about this idea that there are, and I'm looking down at my phone because I had it on my phone,
Yeah.
um, and I don't want to mess it up. That there are four different types of communicators.
Okay.
Okay, there is passive communication. Okay,
Okay.
which is, and I'm going to try and paraphrase this. Submissive. We yield to what others say. Right.
Okay.
Yield to what other people say. We don't express our own opinions as much.
Okay.
We just kind of are passive, right, with
Okay.
communication. There's aggressive communication,
Okay. We're all familiar with that out in the world.
which relates to my HOA story, which we'll save for another time. But
Yeah.
aggressive communicators are people who come across almost as though they want to start a confrontation or an
Okay.
altercation. They're aggressive
Okay.
communicators,
Yeah. Yeah.
forcing their opinion or thought down your throat, kind
Okay.
of
Okay.
is the thought. Then there is passive aggressive communication,
Mm.
right? Which is I'm going to read this. We lack the overtly confrontational style seen in aggressive communication, but we often have underlying hostility or anger in how we speak or behave. Okay.
Mhm. Okay.
So, oh yeah, oh, we're kind of sarcastic and we're
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah. That's good. And then lastly, there is what this article was saying is the most effective form of communication, which is assertive communication,
Okay.
which is we respect others' opinions,
Yeah.
but we also believe in our own, right? We believe in our position,
Yeah.
and we know how to defend our position. We know how
Okay.
to sell our position,
Yeah.
and we're very assertive in doing so.
It's funny, you said passive and then you had aggressive, and I'm like, "Okay, those are both opposite ends of the spectrum, right?"
Right,
But then I
right.
think to myself, assertive and passive aggressive, if it is a string, where would they be on there? But I don't think that's really how it works. I think they're different tangents going out from an epicenter, you know?
And it was basically talking about how assertive communication is the most effective communication
Yeah.
style because you're confident, people believe in what you're saying, you know the
Yeah.
subject at hand, and to quote the late great Tom Petty, I won't back down.
Yeah,
Right?
there you
You're
go.
not going to let yourself. You're not going to
Yeah.
let yourself be beat up.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that you're also probably most likely to be heard with
Yes.
that form of communication.
Yep.
'Cause
Yep.
there is I mean, think about how people react against people's behavior. I mean, if you're coming at somebody aggressively, I mean, it's like, you know, like,
Even on the
I'm
defensive.
girl, you know, like, and then sometimes it's like, I can't even hear what you're saying. Like, I can't deal with or process what's happening because 'cause you're kinda coming at me like an attack dog, you know? So,
And one of the most important traits it was saying of an assertive communicator is the ability to listen.
yeah,
Right? Is not the
yeah,
communication part, but it's
mhm,
the ability to listen and
yeah.
respect,
Well
understand, and
well, we've joked for years the
I sound
easiest
like a
way to
therapist.
yeah, oh yeah, totally, totally. We've joked for years that the easiest way to sell a sales guy is just to tell them what they just told you back
That's
to
right.
them in your own words. And then
That's
they're
right.
like, "Oh yeah, this guy
Yeah.
gets it." You know, it's like it's so obvious and
Well,
hilarious. Maybe I
and I
shouldn't say
think
that out loud on a podcast, but it's hilarious to me.
I think the truth is that and you and I learned this a long time ago, but maybe for any young folks out there who are getting into the business, don't be fooled. Meaning you are not entering the business of creative.
Mhm.
You are to a
Yeah.
degree, but we're salespeople at the end
Oh,
of the
absolutely.
An idea
Absolutely.
is only as good as the person who can go in
Mhm.
and assertively communicate,
Yeah.
right? And thereby
Yeah.
sell that idea through, right?
Absolutely.
There are a
100%.
gajillion different brilliant campaigns, brilliant ads, brilliant designs, brilliant white papers, even
Yeah.
that never go anywhere because they weren't properly
Mhm.
sold through, right?
Yeah.
So we
Absolutely.
are in the business of selling.
Yeah.
Maybe that will deter some people, I don't know. But it
Well,
is a learning skill, that can dovetail into presentation skills, certainly, but
yeah.
it's a learning skill, and the
Yeah.
power of communication uh, is strong.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, any based off of my story, any putting you on the hot seat here, any random instances where you in your life had like a very specific opinion, but then were swayed, you know what I mean? Like, about something, right? And anything come to mind? And if not, it's totally okay. I'm just
I mean,
totally,
the
yeah,
answer is yes. I'm just trying.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah,
sure
yeah.
that's happened.
Yeah, it's just, it's a weird place to be where, I don't know, we view the world so differently, I feel
Yeah,
like. I feel like we're very lucky in that respect, you know? Um, I'm constantly absorbing in all the visual language of the world around me and processing it through a graphic design filter as well,
yeah,
right? And really specifically noodle and noticing things that like 90% of the people don't notice, and that's
yeah.
not saying I'm great or bad, that's just the way that I see the world. If I was a professional musician, I would hear the world so differently than the way that I hear the world now, right?
Right,
Because you're so attuned to all of the keys and majors and minors and how music
right,
is constructed and the themes and all, you just view the world through the prism of your own reality, right?
right.
So I just found it very startling when, I spend a lot of my day developing designs or concepts or, again, the power of persuasion, right? And then being swayed myself. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, that actually it does work,
Well, it
So
works, and it's an entertaining and can be a fun exercise if you ever go down the rabbit hole of YouTube and listening to somebody like there was actually there's a really good documentary about Tony Robbins,
okay.
right? The motivational speaker.
Yeah. One of
And
the most famous, I would
love
argue,
him
right?
or hate him or think he's
Yeah.
a nut job
Yeah.
or a brilliant guy, he
Probably a
is
little bit of everything, to be
he
quite
is a
honest.
brilliant guy.
Yeah.
And if you go watch that documentary and he talks about persuasion, he talks about presenting, and he talks about communicating, and clearly he's been very, very successful at it. But
Yeah.
it's an interesting watch if you're a fan of documentaries and if you're a fan of communication to listen to
Yeah.
that guy talk and go, wow. I mean, that guy talked about selling ice to an Eskimo. Like
Yeah.
that guy can do it.
He'll do it in 30
So it's a
seconds. Yeah.
skill. It's a skill.
Yeah,
Um,
it's even harder nowadays, I think, like, you learn by doing, and we've been doing this for a number of years, right? And, we used to there's an expression, read the room, right? Read the
right.
room, right? Well, that comes from, oh, you're in the room presenting, like we've done this for so long, like you're in a conference room, you've got executives who are making
Yeah.
decisions that are the farthest from creative imaginable, right? And you have to explain to them why this is, a great idea or whatever the case may be, right? You got to drag them along with you, right?
Yeah.
But you can read the room and you understand what's working, what's not working, how to, duck,
Yeah.
dodge, and dive and adjust your presentation accordingly. It's changing so much, right? The level of communication, all through our phones. You had your phone up earlier, all through our phones, right? But like today, we had a logo presentation to a client. It's a grid of 9 black boxes
On the screen.
yeah, it's a grid of 9 black boxes
Yeah.
on Teams, right?
Right.
Um, I've got my camera on. I always have my camera on. I don't know. I just gesticulate and I do whatever I do, and I don't. It's not like, oh, they have their camera. I'm going to turn it off. It's just too late. I just leave my settings the way that. It's damn near impossible to read. You can't read the room.
Can't
You
read the
can't read the
Zoom
room at
room.
all.
Can't read the
It's
Zoom room.
insane. So
Yeah.
the communication style has changed in the past few years,
Yeah.
right? There
Yeah.
used to be, we're pretty casual guys, and it was like, "Hey, interrupt us, jump in," like there's we're having a conversation about what we're
Yeah.
doing. It's not a pompous, we're the advertising people, sit there and listen to us talk for an hour. It's very I like being very collaborative, and you
Yeah.
like being very
Show and
collaborative as
tell. We
well,
treat it like
right?
show and tell. It's great.
Yeah, yeah, and again, like, we're the fun meeting of the day.
I
This
was
is
gonna
great.
say, what
Everyone
do we always say?
Yeah.
Welcome to the fun meeting.
Yeah, yeah, and it should be fun. I mean, it's serious, it's strategic, but like, it's still it's a good interruption sometimes for clients on their side of the fence. That, hey, we're reviewing creative, right? Um, I have definitely changed my presentation style, and I'm sure you have as well, when you've just got a black screen, looking back at you, right? In that it's harder to solicit, intermediate feedback in the middle of the present. I find
Yeah.
myself just
Yeah.
kind of going through the entire present, you know what I mean? Because like, and not pausing. Like if somebody wants to interrupt, great. But most of the time people aren't, and then I'm thinking to myself halfway, do they have the presentation up and they're just, like, because
Yeah.
everybody's on mute, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
it's weird, man. It's
it
weird.
is kind of weird. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's better. Yeah. And then especially if half the people have their cameras turned off
Yeah.
and you're like, I don't.
Yeah, you can't
Anyone
tell what's
listening?
going on.
Are you
It's
even
a trip,
there?
man.
It's
It's a trip,
weird.
but yeah, the communication style has changed, and then you kinda get to the end and you're like, "All right, let me open it up for whatever," and sometimes people use little emojis, hearts, and
Yeah,
things, and they like or whatever, and then you get the feedback at the end, but it's a trip not being able to kinda read the room in the middle
it's
of what's
different.
going on, you know?
I will
So
say one of the positives about it, if there is one, is I can have notes.
yeah,
I often have my notepad right here, and
yeah,
you know, I can look down and read my
yeah,
notes. It's not.
yeah,
I at least have that. That at least I
yeah,
think is a positive
yeah,
tip. But you're right. It's a and I also don't like when someone's presenting and we're looking at whatever it happens to be, whatever the presentation is, whether it's
yeah,
a spreadsheet or a logo presentation.
yeah,
You can't see the person presenting it. You're just looking at the
yeah,
actual work and hearing it, and you can't
yeah,
because you have to read body language, and you can
yeah,
tell when
yeah,
people. It's more than just the tone of someone's voice, right?
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
visual cues and all of the things, and yeah,
It's a new world of communication, you
it
know?
is a new world of
I
communication.
think that's why it was so startling and why I even thought about it for a pod, right? Was an in-person presentation in front of hundreds of people,
Yeah,
had an effect, had a persuasive effect, and we don't do that as much as a community. We don't do like those larger type things
no,
anymore, right? It's either we're being talked at by our phones or our TVs in terms of,
yeah.
ads or messages, but it is a different world for narratives and communications in that respect. So anyway, interesting, right?
Thanks, pandemic.
Yeah, seriously, seriously.
Thanks a lot,
Um,
pandemic.
but hey, man, we can wear pajamas to work.
I'm
So
not wearing pants. I haven't worn pants on any of the podcasts, which is
uh,
great.
yeah,
Uh,
I am for that, to be
it's
quite
incredible.
honest. So
So
yeah,
what
that's why
else,
we're not
Dave?
doing this in the same office, right?
All right, very good.
All
Very
right. Well, where can everybody find us to change our minds about topics?
yeah, I mean, you can see us on the YouTubes for the full
Yeah,
episodes. You can catch us on the socials, and you can catch us at mocktheagency.com, of course, and
sounds
find us.
good. All right.
Um,
We'll chat next time, everybody.